Amberlynn Reid has become one of the most controversial figures in the weight loss community on YouTube. Her journey began in 2014, but instead of losing weight, she has gained approximately 200 pounds over the course of a decade. What started as a simple weight loss vlog has evolved into a saga filled with controversy, speculation, and drama that has captivated viewers far beyond her original audience. Many have questioned the authenticity of her journey. Is this a genuine struggle with health? Or has it become a spectacle designed to court attention? Some even wonder if Amberlynn is strategically playing into the YouTube algorithm, while others see her story as a tragic reflection of how social media can consume someone's life. By the 2020s, her narrative had shifted dramatically from weight loss efforts to chronic weight gain, surrounded by ongoing controversy. Nearly every week, there seemed to be a new incident, fueling the chaotic Amberverse. Things escalated further in 2024 during what became known as the feeder saga. Amberlynn was revealed to be dating someone who had been active on feederism websites, platforms where individuals derive gratification from helping others gain weight. This raised serious health concerns among her audience, especially considering Amberlynn's weight had reached approximately 500 pounds. The controversy deepened when it was discovered that her partner, Tommy, had previously dated a 700-pound woman who had passed away from health complications. The parallels to Amberlynn's own circumstances alarmed fans, many of whom feared for her well-being. What shocked viewers even more was Amberlynn's decision to quickly relocate across the country to live with Tommy, bringing her pets along. This abrupt move led to further criticism, particularly when one of her cats went missing. Instead of focusing solely on finding the cat, Amberlynn continued to create content, prompting backlash for what many saw as irresponsibility. As tensions rose, Amberlynn appeared to turn against her audience, defending Tommy while downplaying concerns. The situation spiraled into even more accusations, emotional breakdowns, and public disputes, shifting the narrative far from its original focus on health. Now in 2025, we find ourselves witnessing what appears to be the collapse of Amberlynn Reid's YouTube career. Her once loyal fanbase is fractured and the cycle of drama continues. Once minor controversies between 2016 and 2019 have snowballed into a full-blown public unraveling. Throughout her time online, a consistent theme has emerged: Amberlynn's personal relationships often end in conflict. Whether friends, partners, or collaborators, many individuals within the Amberverse eventually become adversaries. The most recent fallout with Tommy echoes this pattern, especially after Tommy was linked once again to feederism through a leaked dating profile explicitly referencing fat admiration and weight gain fetishes, allegations Amberlynn had previously denied. In today's video, we'll examine how Amberlynn's story reached this point. We'll explore the cycle of real-life issues being turned into internet drama, the ethical dilemmas at play, and ultimately how Amberlynn Reid's actions, both past and present, have contributed to the apparent implosion of her online persona. In multiple videos, Amberlynn Reid publicly defended her then-partner, Tommy, against accusations of being a feeder. She repeatedly insisted that while Tommy may prefer women with larger body types, that does not automatically make her a feeder. According to Amberlynn, the distinction between having a preference and engaging in feederism is significant, and she emphasized that Tommy had simply always been attracted to her body type, just as all of her previous partners had been.
No, she is not a feeder. People think that she's a feeder, and she's definitely not that. Like, yes, she has a specific type, but I'm letting you guys know that, like, every single person that I've been in a relationship with, everyone that you guys have known, they said that they prefer girls my size. That is a thing that all of my partners have had in common. I am really big, and I wouldn't see someone who prefers like smaller girls to be in a relationship with me. That probably would never happen. To be a feeder is a completely different topic. A feeder versus someone who prefers bigger girls, two completely different things, and she is not that. She is not a feeder. I would never in a million years be in a relationship with one.
Amberlynn argued that someone having a preference for plus-size individuals is not inherently problematic, nor is it indicative of feeder behavior. She stressed that she would never be in a relationship with someone who deliberately encouraged her to gain weight for their own satisfaction. And in fairness, this defense does raise a valid point. Having a body type preference is not necessarily a red flag. However, where concern arises is when that preference crosses into the realm of feederism, where an individual actively encourages or enables someone to gain weight to satisfy a fetish. That is a very different dynamic, and one that carries serious health risks. Respecting people of all body types is important, but enabling dangerous habits, especially in a public space, can have harmful consequences. The concern isn't about someone simply being attracted to a plus-sized partner, it's about the possibility of someone intentionally and knowingly putting another person's health in jeopardy under the guise of affection. What deepened the controversy is the fact that Tommy had reportedly been in a prior relationship with a woman who weighed over 700 pounds and tragically passed away due to health complications. This, combined with evidence that Tommy maintained active profiles on feederism-related websites, understandably sparked alarm within the community. Despite Amberlynn's initial denials, it became increasingly clear that Tommy had ties to these niche communities. This revelation led many to conclude that Amberlynn was once again being less than truthful, a pattern that critics argue has repeated itself throughout her online career. Ultimately, this situation reflects a recurring theme in Amberlynn Reid's online presence, the blurring of reality and drama, where genuine concerns become wrapped in cycles of denial, backlash, and public outcry. And as always, it's the audience left trying to separate fact from fiction. Amberlynn Reid has a long-standing pattern of exacerbating her own controversies by responding to drama in ways that often backfire. Instead of de-escalating tension or providing clarity, she frequently worsens the situation by making misleading or outright false statements to the camera only to be exposed days later. Ironically, much of the backlash she faces might have been avoidable had she simply chosen not to speak on these topics. But rather than staying silent, she often uploads multiple videos discussing the drama in depth, inadvertently escalating the controversy and drawing even more attention to it. Take the situation with Tommy, for instance. While Tommy's involvement in feederism communities was certainly controversial on its own, Amberlynn's repeated public defenses paired with inconsistent narratives only made things worse. Her repeated attempts to control the story ended up amplifying it. Even when criticism toward Tommy was warranted, Amberlynn's approach managed to intensify public scrutiny, ultimately damaging their relationship and reputation alike. This is a pattern that spans across nearly every relationship Amberlynn has had. Whether it's friendships or romantic partners, the cycle is often the same. Amberlynn drags others into public controversies, they become targets of criticism, and eventually they exit her life unable to handle the relentless spotlight, and the cycle repeats. A major part of the frustration people feel isn't always concern for Amberlynn herself, it's the exhaustion with how she consistently handles situations poorly. She has a tendency to lie, deflect, or lash out emotionally in response to criticism, which only adds fuel to the fire. Even when she is in the right, her responses often derail any potential sympathy because of the way she delivers them. This pattern has gone on for years. Critics argue that, whether intentional or not, Amberlynn seems addicted to the attention, whether it's positive or negative. Her audience, many of whom do not wish for her redemption, often watches not for support but for spectacle. And in some ways, Amberlynn appears to play into that dynamic, creating what feels like a parasitic feedback loop of attention, controversy, and monetization. It's a difficult situation to fully understand. From a creator's standpoint, it's clear that Amberlynn profits, at least in the short term, from the attention her controversies generate. But long-term, this strategy has effectively alienated most of her support network and has entrenched her in a niche of internet infamy known as Goral World, the online community surrounding her content. And while some might suspect that this entire saga is scripted, exaggerated, or performative, the disturbing reality is that it's all very real. For instance, in December 2024, Amberlynn was posting emotionally charged videos with titles like "This is all becoming too much. I had to call 911 and my heart is broken." If another creator posted these kinds of videos in such rapid succession, their audience might be genuinely concerned for their well-being. But in Amberlynn's case, this kind of emotional spiral has become part of the brand. And ironically, these moments often coincide with some of her highest viewership numbers, driven not by empathy but by the morbid curiosity of viewers waiting to see what happens next. So even during moments that seem to reflect personal crisis, the truth may be more complicated. For Amberlynn Reid, even the lowest points can be high-performing content, and that's part of what makes her story so complex, polarizing, and tragic. It's genuinely confusing trying to make sense of Amberlynn Reid's content strategy because at first glance, you might assume she's engaging in rage bait, deliberately provoking her audience with controversial or inflammatory content to drive clicks and engagement, and in some ways, it does resemble that. But unlike classic rage bait creators like Jake Paul in his heyday, Amberlynn isn't faking these moments for attention. The situations she documents, however dramatic or upsetting, are real. That's what makes this all the more unsettling. Jake Paul, for example, built a career around absurd, performative controversy. Anyone with media literacy could tell most of it was staged. But Amberlynn, she's showing her actual life. The grief, the arguments, the meltdowns, they're authentic. She isn't acting, and that's what makes it all so strange. She's not manufacturing drama, but she is monetizing tragedy. And that's perhaps one of the strangest and most ethically complex content models on the platform. Take one of her videos titled "My Heart is Broken." On the surface, it appears to be another click-heavy title designed to garner attention, and it did, pulling in over 70,000 views, nearly double her usual content. But the difference is, this wasn't a fabricated story. It was about the real-life disappearance of her cat, a pet she deeply loved. The emotions she showed in that video, distress, heartbreak, grief, were real. And yet, by putting this online, by choosing to film and upload instead of search, she inevitably invited criticism.
She just wanted to venture out. I know she just wanted to see. No. Like, I don't know where the she is, and it's been just like, literally. Sorry.
I'm telling you, as a human being, it is weird, and you look weird.
Was she genuinely heartbroken? Absolutely. But was the video also crafted with the knowledge that it would generate views and engagement? Yes, that's the paradox. This speaks to a broader pattern with Amberlynn. She often films herself in the middle of chaotic, emotionally charged situations. Moments that any other person might choose to keep private are instead used as content. And while it might seem exploitative, even self-destructive, it also works. Videos like these consistently outperform her regular uploads. They get shared, reacted to, and discussed in communities built almost entirely around her downfall. And that's where the true complexity lies. Even when you criticize Amberlynn Reid, you're participating in her business model. Every critical video, every comment, even this analysis feeds into the cycle. The more people talk about her, the more relevant she remains. The worse the situation, the better the views. And whether you're watching out of concern, curiosity, or contempt, you're still contributing to the machine. That leads to a moral question: should we talk about her? Should she be criticized? Surprisingly, the answer might still be yes. Because even if Amberlynn is living a difficult life and enduring real emotional distress, she's also making choices that affect others. She uprooted her life to move in with someone linked to controversial feederism communities and denied that association, only to later be exposed. She lost a pet and, instead of searching privately, turned the event into content. These are valid criticisms, and public figures, even controversial ones, should be held accountable for their actions. But it's still a paradox. Criticizing her keeps her relevant, and being relevant keeps her income flowing. It's both a win and a loss at the same time for her and for us. This is why many have compared watching Amberlynn's content to watching the Titanic sink in slow motion. You can't look away, even though you know how it ends. And the cycle never stops. Whether you're watching this in 2025 or years later, just search her name. Chances are there's another controversy, another scandal, another viral video, another round of rage. Even her original content theme, weight loss, remains a recurring point of drama. A woman who branded herself around health and progress gained hundreds of pounds over a decade and continues to post about that journey, knowing full well it invites backlash and scrutiny. She knows weight gain gets views. She knows drama brings clicks. And she plays into that, not by staging events, but simply by being herself and sharing everything. That's what makes Amberlynn Reid so fascinating and so tragic. Her life has become both content and cautionary tale, a real-time case study in the dark side of internet fame, parasocial relationships, and the commodification of personal misery. Now, add another layer of complexity to everything we've already discussed: the fact that this content, this tragedy, this chaos was uploaded during Vlogmas in the midst of what fans have dubbed the Feta Saga. That timing alone changes everything. For context, Vlogmas is a tradition on YouTube where creators upload daily vlogs in December, often under the guise of holiday cheer. But in reality, it's a business move. December is when YouTube's CPM cost per mil nearly doubles. Advertisers throw money at the platform, and creators ramp up content to capitalize on that. So yes, while Amberlynn might open with a cheery "Welcome to Vlogmas Day 8, it's less about Christmas spirit and more about ad revenue. Now revisit her Vlogmas video titled "I'm Done." What could have been a cozy holiday vlog turns out to be Amberlynn crying into the camera for 8 minutes. The subject, the disappearance of her cat. And yes, again, it's real. The grief is real. But you can't ignore how calculated it feels. She knew people were criticizing her for not searching hard enough. She knew emotions were high. And releasing a tearful video in December during peak monetization season was guaranteed to trigger clicks, comments, and controversy.
That I considered, my daughter. Like, I can't have real children. That was taken from me when I was diagnosed with cancer. My fur babies are like my kids, and I love them. Have I been perfect? No. I was never taken care of as a kid. I was never taught normal things. So when I started raising 3 fur babies of my own, that was a big change for me. I have never and would never do anything to hurt them or to make their existence harder. I have tried everything I can to love them and care for them because they are ultimately my world. And I love them so much. Like, you guys have no idea. Like, I think that's why this bothers me so much, is because they're like one part of me that has been constant. They're my family. They're like truly my family.
And frankly, it's hard not to notice that in this particular video, the tears don't quite come. It feels like she's trying to cry, but nothing's really happening. As a viewer, it puts you in this uncomfortable space where you're asking, is this performative or genuine? And honestly, the answer might be both. But this isn't new behavior, it's a refined formula Amberlynn has been using for nearly a decade. If she doesn't have anything interesting to vlog during Vlogmas, she sit down, look distressed, and speak about something she knows will enrage or depress her audience. It's rage bait, sure, but not the fake kind. This is real-life, story-driven rage bait. It's the exploitation of truth. Let's zoom out even more. This pattern started years ago with her weight loss content. Since 2016, Amberlynn has been through dozens of diet cycles, start a new plan, say it's working. Gain weight, quit, rinse, repeat. It's so predictable, it's been nicknamed the Amberlynn diet cycle, and in 2025, she's still doing it. She's talking about Ozempic in one video, quitting it a few weeks later, and then uploading a video titled, "I've gained weight." It's all real. She has gained weight. She is quitting these diets. But it's also all part of a content machine that feeds off the same outrage, disappointment, and controversy over and over again. It works, but it's also deeply damaging both mentally and physically. And that's where it becomes tragic, because whether you sympathize with her or not, it's hard to deny that Amberlynn is monetizing her own downfall. And then things escalate. While this video is intended to be a broader retrospective, I'd be remiss not to mention a more recent scandal that perfectly exemplifies how Amberlynn consistently makes things worse for herself. In February 2025, she was accused of stealing her ex-partner's inheritance. A claim that, if true, is not only immoral, it's irredeemable. Let me give you some context. Amberlynn's ex, known online as Beck, returned to content creation this year. And with that comeback came a flood of videos and live streams, many of which detailed their past relationship with Amberlynn. In these videos, Beck accused Amberlynn of financial control, emotional manipulation, isolation, consistent neglect during moments of vulnerability, and perhaps most disturbingly, making Beck feel more like a caregiver than a partner. And that's before the inheritance claim even enters the picture. Now, when allegations like this surface about any public figure, the response is everything. It reveals who they truly are when the mask comes off. And how did Amberlynn respond? She took to Instagram and completely crashed out. Not a composed statement. Not a thoughtful reflection, just a meltdown.
So I've not been with them in almost 5 years. I am a completely different person than I was then. And I'm sure Beck is also a different person than they were then.
This is the pattern. Something serious happens either due to her actions or her inaction, and Amberlynn addresses it in a way that almost always adds fuel to the fire. Whether it's by deflecting, crying, rage-baiting, or simply not responding at all, it ends up reinforcing the public perception of her as someone who refuses to take real responsibility. So yes, even now, in 2025, the Amberlynn cycle continues. Diets, breakdowns, scandals, outrage, and tears. All of it is real, and all of it is content. And somehow, despite it being a self-destructive spiral, it continues to work. You may criticize her. You may empathize. You may hate watch or genuinely be concerned. But the truth is, you're still watching. And that's all that matters in the world of YouTube.